Okay, hello, welcome to this video, should I say. As you can see by the title page, I'm not quite sure as of recording this video of which channel I will be uploading. I don't know whether to do it on my main channel, TF Nosy, or this one, or whatever channel you are watching, on my vlog channel, whatever. It's something that I want to upload this video on a channel that hopefully will maybe get a bit more impact or a bit more, a bit more viewership. But at the same time, it is a video that is completely alien and different to what I usually do. I'm not going to be editing this. I don't know how long it's going to be. It's something I need to get off my chest, something I need to talk about. People don't like, people talking about life and people moaning or talking about real life situations when it comes to YouTube videos. I'm not doing this for the views in the way where I'm doing this for attention. I'm doing this to try and highlight something that is very dear and very near my heart. And as you would have seen, obviously, by the title page, I'm talking about a disease called pulmonary fibrosis. Or in my terms, the version called idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. If I can get my tongue right there. Now, many of you will probably know exactly what I'm going to talk about, but the problem is there's many that don't know about it. And it is a very, very scary terminal disease that I think needs a bit more explanation, and many people need to be educated in, because it's just as bad as cancer, but it's not as well and widely known by someone outside the medical profession. So yeah, why am I making this? Why am I making a video talking about something so vulgar? I won't say vulgar, but so yes, so weird and very personal and so on. Well, it's because I've tried to make this video many times since my mum passed away. And each time I've just deleted the thing. Because one time I think I uploaded it, and before people actually viewed it, I just straight away deleted the thing. Because I thought, well, I don't want to come over in a way where I'm trying to get attention, like a negative attention. Like I don't want people to think that I'm being attention seeking or anything like that. And I'm just talking about my problems, and other people out there have their own problems to deal with, and they don't want to know about mine. And I'm the last person, other people want to know, with my issues. And for those reasons, that's why I decided to just delete them before. And also, they were quite poorly done. I was yammering, like I probably am now, but I was yammering and it wasn't really making much sense. So I thought, finally, I'm going to upload it. I don't care what reception it gets. It's something that needs to be spoken about. And there is many people out there that have most certainly done the same video, similar video to what I'm doing, and going into this in some way. That maybe they've got a personal story behind it, that maybe they've lost a loved one like I have with this disease, and also trying to drum up some sort of knowledge and trying to kind of educate some people in a certain way. I don't mean that in any disrespect, but it's, like I said, it's just as bad, if not as serious, as terminal cancers. Or if you have got cancer and it goes terminal, it's just as bad as that. it is literally in the same realm. But whenever I've spoken about this to people, I've always had the question, what is that? What? I've never heard of it before. So that is why this video has been made. Finally. Right then, so let's get to the nitty gritty. So many of you already know, it's hard not to know because I'm maybe at Christmas, my birthday, and also on the anniversary, which is coming up in February. I pretty much quite often, I'm talking about my mum. Remembering her, thinking of her and posting certain things, and also when we go to renew the flowers on my mum's grave, which we do probably maybe a couple times a month sometimes, and I do that not just to show everybody. I do that so that family that is a bit further away, that isn't that I've got family that live in Devon. There's some friends of the family that live in Germany and other places around, so it's a way for me to kind of show, look, this is some new flowers on Mum's plot, and it allows people on the outside that are quite far away to see what's going on with that. So that is why I post those sort of things. So yes, many of you already know, my mum obviously passed away back in February 2017, and we knew, well, actually, I was left in the dark, I was left in the dark. My mum, typical of my mum actually, she didn't want me to know. I was her world sort of thing. I'm the only child, I don't have any siblings. So it was literally, she didn't want me to know anything. She literally made my dad swear to her that he would never break the news. Obviously, he did in the end. I found out probably about 2 months before she finally did pass away. About 3 months, I'd say. And on the outside looking in, you would never have noticed. It's an internal disease, just like cancer. You can't really tell until right at the last moment when you can see that they physically do not look well, and they might be a bit gaunt, or they might have lost weight, things like that. There's some noticeable signs when someone might be not well. But with my mom, she was the master of putting on a mask. She lived with really bad depression when she was a kid, when she was a child, and also when she was up until she had me. She also had postnatal depression as well. Once she had me, she really went through a lot of. I still don't know half of what my mum went through, but she put on such a incredible mask on. You would never know she had issues like that. And up until literally 2 weeks before my mum passed away, my dad was my dad's 70th birthday celebration, and some of my dad's side, my mum's side, we came together for a meal, and we took a picture. Well, I took a picture of my mum and my dad holding his balloon, and you would never see or notice my mum was dying of a terminal disease. You would not have known. Obviously, we did know, but on the outside looking in, you would not know. Literally, everyone was flabbergasted and knocked for six when they got the news that she'd passed. Even though we knew things weren't looking good for her, my mum was taking off certain medication that was supposed to kind of keep it at bay for a bit longer, but she was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which is a untreatable. Well, pulmonary fibrosis at the moment is incurable. It cannot be cured. It can only be sort of pushed back, so to speak. So maybe you've got a little bit longer lifespan. But like I say, you've got pulmonary fibrosis, which is the normal one where they can see what the cause of it is and they can treat it. obviously, ultimately, it will still claim that person's life, unfortunately, in time, but they can treat it with medication. Idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, which my mum had, you cannot treat it. They literally do not know what the cause is, hence idiopathic. They do not know what the cause of it is. So they don't know how it formed, how it happened. So that is why they give it the layman term of idiopathic. And literally, my mum had issues with catching her breath for quite a while, quite a few years. My mum didn't think anything of it. She didn't like going to doctors. That's quite many people don't like going to the doctor about things. She thought she just had, I don't know, she was just getting older, and she just couldn't catch her breath as well. She was like whenever my mum and dad went out, she was kind of using my dad as kind of like a walking aid in some ways, and then she ended up having to have a motorized mobility scooter, within like literally the last 2 months before she passed away. So it got that bad to when she couldn't even, she was out of breath just going up the stairs to toilet. It was, we could tell there was something not quite right with her. So my dad finally got her to go to the doctor, and he obviously told her that, obviously brought the news that she had pulmonary fibrosis in the lungs. But at the time, they did try to treat it. They thought it was the normal kind, what they can treat and hopefully prolong her life a little bit longer. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Upon further inspection, she wasn't getting any better. The medication really wasn't working for her. So she had, the doctors she was seeing and everything, kind of like looked at it again, looking at like, scans of her lungs and things like that. And then they come up with the thing that she had idiopathic. So like I said before, unable to treat it. So they ultimately took her off the medication. This was when things obviously were going to go bad, because she wasn't on medication. It was just, well, we were given a time thingy of possibly she could live another 10 years. She could live a good from the point of her being diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. They said that she could live 5, maybe 10 years before it starts to get bad, to the point where she needs oxygen tank, and she has to take an oxygen tank out of her, things like that, and a mask on and things like that. So yeah, that didn't happen. Literally, after she properly got diagnosed, she dropped weight like no tomorrow. She was just like a skinny rake at one point. And like I said, at my dad's 70th birthday, which was literally 2 weeks before she passed away, she put on a nice dress. She made herself look really nice. You wouldn't even have known about it. But yet, literally within the point of diagnosis to like literally around about my dad's birthday in January of that year of 2017, she ultimately just deteriorated really rapidly, scarily. And I was, the day of my mum going into hospital, I was on my way to work actually, and she was bad. For about a week, she literally was so bad she couldn't even go up the stairs. So she ended up having to sleep on the sofa. Well, not this sofa. We had a different one before, but she was sleeping on the sofa, and her breathing was really bad. She could barely get. She was like that all the time, and there was just barely anything getting to her lungs. So one day when I was literally about to go to work, we had to ring the ambulance. Paramedics come. Her oxygen level was dangerously low to the point where she was pretty much very dangerously low. I can't remember what the reading was, but it was dangerously low. And so yeah, they took her to Hull Royal. No, Castle Hill, I think. Castle Hill Hospital. We've got two hospitals in our area. So they took her to hospital. Oh no, it was Hull Royal. I do apologise. Yeah, it was Hull Royal Infirmary, where they took her to, and she was in hospital for. I don't think she was quite a week. I think she might have been about 3 or 4 days, and she was. They put her on the highest. They put her on the highest that they could safely give her on oxygen, and she was starting to peak a little bit at one point. Her oxygen level was starting to peak, but they kind of realised it wasn't really her, it was the machine, it was the oxygen. It was making it seem like she was perking up, but she actually wasn't. So yeah, ultimately it claimed her life. She was literally 3 or 4 days really battling for a breath. She could not breathe on her own. And then ultimately they gave us the news. We've got a phone call at about 1 or 2 in the morning of the day of she passing away. We had to rush there, and they literally told me and my dad that she was on a life support as well. So, and they mentioned about taking her off the machine. So my grandparents were there, my mum's 2 sisters, obviously me and my dad, and my cousin. She came as well, which was my one of my cousins anyway. And so there was pretty much all of my mum's side of the family there at her bedside. So when literally they finally turned the machine off, and my God, the sight of that was, let's just put it that way, it was haunting. It was haunting. I still see it in my mind. She basically the reaction, she's kind of like staring daggers at my dad for some reason. Do not know why. I don't know if she was trying to see where I was. I don't know. Then I moved round to where she was, and then I think she must have seen me. And at that point where she saw me, she just took a real nice last breath, and that was it. She went peaceful. And yeah, that was that. So yeah, it was, yeah, obviously not nice. That goes without saying, but it was, yeah, hard. But the point of this video is not to distress anybody, even though it probably will, because unfortunately, I do apologise if it does. But like I said at the beginning of this video, it's a way to kind of try and say what pulmonary fibrosis is. What is this disease? It is a terminal disease. It's a lung disease. It causes the stiffening of the lungs, which causes lack of oxygen to reach the lungs. Once it gets to a certain degree, that person unfortunately will suffocate to death. And they cannot breathe on their own. Until that happens, they rely on an actual oxygen tank with a mask on. That is how they try and have to keep alive. They have to constantly have a breathing mask on with an oxygen tank. So that's how it works. I can't talk for anybody else, some people have lived with this disease for quite a while, but ultimately it will get worse and eventually it will claim their lives. But like I said about idiopathic, it is a much more aggressive version, and also it's a version that they can't treat with medication because they simply don't know the cause of it. But in my case, I can only speak for my case, I can't speak for anybody else. It was from when she was diagnosed and to her actually ultimately passing away. She deteriorated very rapidly within about 3 to 4 weeks. So literally not even a month period. And that's how scary this disease is. It could be from diagnosis of having idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, you could ultimately live 5, 10, maybe more. But if you're very lucky. But at the same time, it could, because as soon as they took her off the medication, she just plummeted. Absolutely plummeted. And that's the video. Thank you for watching if you've stayed around. I apologise to those that may have been distressed but while watching. It's not something nice I really want to talk about. It is personal, but I want to put this out there so that other people that are living with the same issue, either they've lost a loved one with the same disease, or they have they know somebody, or they are somebody that, that has the disease. I know it's not something you really want to. It's not something you really want to hear of if you've got the disease yourself and you're looking for answers. But it's a way for me to. It's closure for me. It's partly closure, and it's also partly a way for me to kind of shine a light on this because it was my mum. You know, you only have one parent, you only have one mum, you only have one dad, you only have, they are your biological parents, you only have one of each ever in your lifetime. Yeah, there could be stepmums, stepdads as time goes by, but, you ultimately only have one set of parents. So, yeah, it's a way for me to, I feel it's kind of my mum's memory. It's a way to try and get some sort of knowledge out there about this disease so that, people can maybe look it up or at least ultimately know more about it. Because literally, I keep repeating myself, I apologise, but, not many people know about it outside the medical profession. And it is literally just as bad as cancer. It's certain cancers. I mean, there are some that can be treated, some that can be, put back, so it's like in remission, it can be, brought into remission, but ultimately you can't really fully cure it, even though there is, the cancer research are going leaps and bounds into trying to find a cure. And I know there is certain things that they've tried that have worked with cancer cells and things like that. But when it comes to pulmonary fibrosis, there is still a research behind it. They're trying to find a cure for cancer research. So for pulmonary fibrosis, sorry. So that just like cancer research, there is a trust that are raising money just like those, and there are people working or trying to work on some sort of a cure, see if they can come to how they can treat it better to prolong life and things like that. So yeah, I will put some links below, to certain links to certain trusts for this thing. Also, maybe put a Google link up there so you can maybe have a read of it yourself in your own leisure. But thank you for letting me do this. Thank you for watching, and ultimately, that is pretty much why I've done it. So, thank you for watching. I'll be back very soon with more videos that are a bit more uplifting. And see you soon. Bye bye.